Decay, quite possibly the most anticipated chapter of Piggy of all time, is now out, and people aren't happy. Tons of people are saying this chapter was a huge disappointment, and today we're going to talk about it. So without further ado, let's go! Okay, so in my opinion, Decay was not a disappointing chapter. In fact, I thought it was really good. It is gameplay unlike anything we've ever seen in a Piggy chapter before. It's really more along the lines of something like Doors or Pressure, which have fantastic gameplay. So seeing the little Piggy elements implemented into these kinds of games is really awesome. And I think this chapter really did that beautifully. I also think the puzzles were really well done. Some of them were very, very difficult. That crane one took me 30 minutes. But let's not worry about that right now. I also really like the fact that there's a health system, and I really like how the infected work. Overall, it's just a really interesting chapter of the game. And it's genuinely pretty creepy. There were definitely many times I got pretty spooked, especially in those chases, which are especially cool because we've really never had chases like this in a Piggy game. We kind of got it with Tio in the Book 2 hidden ending, but I feel like this is definitely more along the lines of a normal chase that you would find in any other horror game, which is really cool. It's very cool to see Piggy expanding into more traditional horror game aspects. So this all sounds absolutely awesome. So why are people hating on this? Well, a piece of it is definitely because it is so different and because it's really difficult. I can see how if you were playing this chapter and especially that final chase on mobile, yeah, you're screwed. There's definitely a pretty significant learning curve with this one, mainly because it's not like other Piggy chapters, and the puzzles take way more thinking. But that's one of the less talked about issues with this chapter, so let's move on to people's main issues. So people take issue with the final cutscene and really just the lore of this chapter, because quite frankly, it makes no sense. Basically, in the final cutscene, it shows Bunny crying in like an alleyway, and then she shoots something with her crossbow, and then she gets shot. And that's literally the entire cutscene. Like, people turn into other people or whatever. I haven't watched it in like a few minutes, but it is kind of a weird cutscene. It is animated beautifully though. I mean, Luniona was cooking with this one. I just don't think that the story of this chapter is all that good. It's going for something that I feel is too complicated for this kind of thing, and we really haven't gotten any build up to a story about Bunny and possibly Brella and then her sister Bonnet. Like, we've never heard about these things, so it just kind of feels weird that they're here. And the whole chapter ending with Bunny just getting shot is a very disappointing ending, I must admit. I was really hoping for something with the insolence or something really crazy, but I don't know, it just wasn't that. But I don't think that this is the actual ending. I think there's still an ending waiting to be found, because the end of the cutscene says, wouldn't it be great if this happened a different way, or something along the lines of that. Isn't this a shame that it happened this way? So that means there's probably a different ending in there somewhere, but we just haven't found it yet, so this is kind of just what we're stuck with for the time being. Now, people's other problem with this is the skin you get for completing the chapter. As your grand prize for beating this chapter, you unfortunately don't unlock the Bonnet skin, or whatever the giant monster who chases you is, because that thing is absolutely terrifying. I love that model. It's so creepy, and oh god, I love it. What you do get though is the decaying infected skin. Now, don't get me wrong, this is actually a pretty cool skin, because the whole gimmick of it is that it can be literally anything. All the infected in the chapter are pretty much random, so this skin kind of represents that and can basically be any infected from the chapter, which I think is a pretty cool idea on paper, but it's just not a lot compared to what we could have had with the Bonnet skin. So people have been pretty disappointed with that, even though it is still a very cool skin. And because people don't like it, there's been a lot of backlash, and let's talk about that right now. So people were not happy with this chapter on release. I think everyone can pretty much agree that gameplay-wise, this is really, really good. But story-wise, which is what a lot of people come to Piggy for, this just wasn't its strongest outing. And the reward you got for it was not really what everybody expected it to be. And people were sending Minitoon like death threats. He posted about this on Twitter on his alt account a few days ago, and it's genuinely really sad because him and the team put so much effort into this chapter, and people just weren't that fond of it. But most of this has pretty much been cleared up at this point, and on that tweet, he got lots of loving messages, so it's pretty much okay now, but it was rough when this first happened. So, was Decay disappointing? Honestly, it wasn't. It was not a disappointing chapter of the game. In fact, I think it was a pretty cool one. It was genuinely really innovative in a ton of different ways, gameplay-wise especially, but also in the cutscenes and everything else. It was definitely difficult, but not unforgivingly so. I mean, you could literally pay 15 Robux to respawn, which 15 Robux is not a lot. And honestly, I had a great time playing Decay. It is a great chapter of the game that you guys need to check out if you haven't. So with that said, I think that's actually going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you know when I post more awesome videos like this. I'm glad I got to talk about this chapter because I genuinely really liked it, and I think a lot of you guys will too if you haven't tried it out. And guys, don't send hate to Minitoon. He's done a lot for all of us. And yeah, so with that said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!